Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. And then today we are doing part 2 of our journey through cinema with zombies and their evolution and how they changed and what they looked like. As you should be aware by this point, it's a Zombie Awareness Month, so we're just going to keep the conversation rolling. I wanted to do something about movies because horror movies are sort of what got me into the genre, and they're very important to me, and I watch a lot of movies. And also because I feel like it's just something so interesting how many of them have just changed in the way that they look and how they are, and I just thought it'd be a really interesting thing to talk about for Zombie Awareness Month. Next Saturday's video is actually going to be a video of some just hanging out and playing some Left 4 Dead 2 with someone I don't think I've mentioned on the channel yet. No, not yet. Tashin from Super Game Gramps. He's hysterical. You'll love him. And then after that, I'm actually, for my final video for the month, for Zombie Awareness Month, I'm actually going to try to use prosthetics and create a zombie look. We'll see how that goes. It's either going to turn out awesome or it's going to be a huge learning curve. We're going to see how it goes. Anyway, so zombies for the second half of our zombie time frame. So in the beginning, we did the zombies from the, pre-1990s, starting in the 1930s. So all of the ones that I did are in 2000s. And just as a small note, I'm not going to talk about any Resident Evil movies for a couple of reasons. One, because I feel like that horse has been beaten to death. And I feel like because they're based off content that doesn't actually necessarily revolve around movies, I feel like it's better to just leave it alone as its own thing. Even though they didn't follow the game's 100% canon, I just feel like it's better to just leave them as their own thing and not necessarily talk about them in this thing. So the first movie that I want to talk about is Quarantine, which came out in 2008. Quarantine is actually a remake of a movie called Record. But it is one that I remember going to see in the theaters and being super uncomfortable after leaving the theaters. And if you haven't seen Quarantine, I do highly recommend it. I'm gonna insert a little clip here of the movie.
Okay. We're gonna get you some medical help, okay? Okay? Oh, no, are you okay? Are you okay, ma'am? Okay. You're gonna be okay. All right? Okay, just relax. All right. Just calm down.
Give us some room.
Come on, gloves on, Danny.
Where's that blood coming from?
Hey, Chief, we're gonna need an ambulance here.
Mrs. Espinoza, it's all gonna be all right. All right, I just need you to calm down, okay? It's all right. Nobody's here to hurt you.
We can't help you unless you calm down.
An ambulance is on its way right now.
All right, let's just clear the space. Danny, get everybody out of here.
Back it up, please.
Yeah, so Quarantine is super good. It has the fabulous Doug Jones in it, which is so interesting to see and know who that was watching that film. But this type of zombie is absolutely a run-of-the-mill infected, except for the fact that they stick to rabies as what it replicates, what it looks like in the system, how people, the way they're behaving, the way that people turn and the way they act afterwards, rather than this actual need to feed off of living tissue. That doesn't seem to be quite the situation with these type of zombies. But it's interesting to see that kind of takes shape in sense of using rabies as a means of this is what's happening to people and this is what's wrong. That's why when you get bit, you're infected and so on and so forth. So that was a really good one. I'm actually a really big fan of Quarantine. I like that movie a lot. I think that it's a very good example, once again, of this concept of government versus people versus zombies. Because when they get into the apartment building, before they even really know what's going on, they're being stuck there. They're being kept in the building. They are to be shot on sight if they try to leave. And this is all by the government because of something crazy which they allude to the ending being because some things have been brought over here that weren't supposed to be brought over here. But it's a very interesting concept. And I love found footage films. So of course it was like, it's a huge home run for me because it's zombies, got Ted Jones in it. It's very well done. And then it's a found footage film to boot. Which I feel like adds to a lot of the like, ooh, that you feel when you watch it. But one of the other things that I really like about it is because of the fact that they're trapped in this building and they're not being permitted to leave and they're not getting any answers, you at least have that little bit of validation for why the camera continues to roll while you're running up and down stairs away from people trying to bite your face off. So I did like that part about too. But yeah, so kind of just a normal infected. They move, they don't move superhuman fast, but they're not slow and dumb. They hear very well. They seem to hear very well, but they're very disoriented and still pretty quick moving within the limits of the human body. So nothing too crazy. The next one that I'm going to talk about is Dead Snow, which came out in 2009. Dead Snow is a bit more probably comical than it is scary, but it is a very good one to talk about when you're talking about ways that zombies have evolved and changed and turned into these other things. These are Nazi zombies. If you haven't seen Dead Snow, I definitely recommend it. There is a part 2 as well, which I actually, dare I say, I've not actually seen, but the first one was good. And in this one, you know, they're pretty normal outside of that, other than being like I said, they're Nazi zombies. But yeah, so the clip I'm about to show is like one of the most iconic from the first movie. So here we go. So one of the reasons I decided to include this one in my list is there's this gift of communication, which is not completely unheard of. There are other ones where zombies seemingly are able to communicate to one another, and that's not like a totally new concept, but I really love the way that this one was done in terms of just being able to communicate, to have this like streamlined agenda. They're like a military of the undead, you know, and I thought that concept was pretty neat overall. I think makeup and look wise, they look pretty traditional, a little less maybe disembodied to start than some of the others, but otherwise, I mean, it still has all the other elements, the gore, the attacking, all that sort of stuff. So but I really liked that one. I thought it would be worth putting on the list simply because one, it's a good movie, but I like that element of them being organized. I think that adds another level of fear because it's a lot easier for me to not be as scared by this concept of zombies where they're very slow and kind of dumb and you can just like push it off of you, like there's no effort being made, versus something that can think, because that's kind of what zombies started out as, is this like mindless thing. But this concept of thinking and building something together and moving as a force is a lot more terrifying, in my opinion, than being just driven by wanting to attack and not even be able to like move very quickly. Which leads me into World War Z, which came out in 2013. World War Z is an adaptation of a book, which if you haven't read it, even if you've seen the movie but haven't read it, you should always go back and read it. I always suggest that. I think it's a good plan. And one of the things that makes these zombies so incredible is their speed, and they're so fast, and they are so fast that most of them are CGI, because I mean, it's one thing to assume that they might be able to move a little bit faster without the limitations of aches and pains or like, oh my God, I'm out of shape. But this is a whole nother level of fast. Like this, I can't even perceive that if zombies were a real thing that they would ever be this fast. And they do have a little bit of a thinking element as well, that I think it kind of adds just this like little bit of ugh to it. But one of the other main reasons that I wanted to put this on the list as far as zombie evolution and the changes in the story concepts is that in World War Z, the concept around the zombies that's unique is the fact that they can tell when someone is sick. So, there's this scene in the movie where they're rushing over the city and they're going crazy, and there's like this I don't remember if it's a kid, young teenager, young child, young adult, whatever, that's like this, and they don't even touch him because he's sick. And it's like whenever they realize that and they, go and inject, Brad Pitt's character goes and injects himself with some kind of sickness and finds out that that is in fact how to handle it, then they make themselves sick with things that aren't really popular anymore. And then they go and they fight them to take back the world. And I think that's a super unique concept that I really, really love. It's not a concept that at least I'm aware of being in very many other things. But it kind of has like a weird parallel, at least in this is the way my mind works. It makes me kind of think of how, how in the Anne Rice novels, one of the things that Lestat tells Louis is like, it's a lesson. You can't eat from the dead because it will make you sick and it could kill you. So I think it's interesting that these zombies are intuitive enough to just, without even thinking about, like, they don't even acknowledge this child as they're running past him. They're just like, nope, he's sick. Like, it doesn't even pick up on their radar, like the healthy people. And I think that's really interesting. I love that concept a lot. So the next one is a bit of a dive. It's a film called Contracted. Which is a very B film. It's not, I mean, I doubt very seriously it was in theaters anywhere that I'm aware of. But it came out in 2013 also. And it is essentially a movie about an STD being like a zombie virus. It's a girl that goes out on a date. She hooks up with a guy from a bar. She wakes up and all these weird things start happening. Starts losing her teeth. Her eyes start changing. Her skin's changing. And I actually decided to put that on the list. As much as I don't really care for the movie, I think it's because it makes me so uncomfortable. Is because it's a very different take on the average zombie. It's a very slow decay from the inside out. A lot of times when we see movies involving zombies, the change is relatively quick. It's not, it doesn't take forever and ever and ever. And this is something that takes her a while. And she goes to the doctor and they have no idea what's going on. And it's just this very slow progression into this state of decay. And I think that that's a very interesting take on the concept of a zombie. It's also being spread through sexual intercourse is like a whole nother level of discomfort that I was not prepared for when I sat down to watch this movie. So I left it on the list because I thought it was a very interesting thing. So here's a clip of her decaying from the inside out.
What seems to be the problem?
What the hell is wrong with your eye?
Which takes us to my next movie, which is one that I actually really did enjoy, called The Lazarus Effect. The Lazarus Effect came out in 2015. It was one that I didn't watch until much later. It may have come out in 2015, but I probably didn't watch it until like 2018, 2019. But it's on the list because it's very remnant of like Reanimator. So it's about this guy and his little students who are practicing with biology and attempting to be able to reanimate dead cells and bring people back from the dead. It starts with animals, and then there's a horrible accident, and the other doctor that was a part of it, who was the main character's wife, fiance, girlfriend, she dies, and they decide to bring her back. And this movie is on the list for a couple of different reasons. One, because it kind of reverts back to that concept of that God complex, right? Where we're like, oh, I have this ability, and it's not. It goes from being interesting to a power trip, and then not being able to draw the line between your morals and what you're trying to accomplish, because you shouldn't, I mean, trying to bring back your dead wife is risky business, I feel like. But aside from that, the other reason that it's on the list is because she's very not typical in the zombie sense. She's not trying to eat everybody when she comes back. She's not dumb or like very slow moving. She's very quick. She's very creepy. She's very smart. Her eyes are a different color, and she kind of looks a little pale, but she doesn't, her skin's not like rotting off or anything crazy like that. But she also has telekinesis, and when she uses her abilities to kill these other people, they're very dramatic, as you're about to see now. So that's why I put the Lazarus Effect on my my list. I thought it was interesting for her to have an ability, for it brings in that whole, that human mindset of like wanting to be in control and have this power over something that we have no business having control or power over. And I actually like the film a lot. That's pretty good. And this one I've actually talked about in one of my 30-second reviews, which is Train to Busan, which came out in 2016. That sounds right. 2016. Train to Busan is a phenomenal fucking movie. And it's one of those movies that when I read the reviews and people don't like it, I get super offended, like I made the shit myself. It is a very good movie. But it is on my list because it kind of brings in the semi-smart and fast zombies, kind of similar to what we've seen in like World War Z. There's scenes where their bodies are piling on and they break through glass, or they're super fast, and they're very what's the word? Limber is not the word that I want to say, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. they are very like almost, some of them look like contortionists, the way they like move their bodies and they're able to like flip around. And I also like them, I think, because this concept where they can't really see that well in the dark. Because typically when we see zombies, you know, their eyes are different. That's one of the ways that you know that they're off, right? Is their eyes look different. And depending on the film you're talking about, that all changes based on what they look like or how they look. But I think it's really interesting that they can't see in the dark. They have pretty good hearing and they react very quickly, but there's this whole scene in the train where they go through and they don't have, the lights are, they're going through a tunnel, and so it's dark and they're climbing overhead, and the zombies are like none the wiser. And I really like that concept. I really like that concept too. And it's another one that's really good about showing that human side of people being assholes because they're allowed to be. There's a scene in the train, well, it's like not quite halfway through the movie yet, maybe halfway through the movie, where this like rich piece of shit guy is like locks people out and doesn't, and is trying to control the situation and making just really bad calls and being very inhumane, because there's a difference between wanting to survive and making smart choices that are hard, and then making stupid choices that are easy because you're a dick. And that's kind of where the stuff falls on that side of things. Super good movie, cannot say that enough. And then my last one on the list is another really good one, which is Overlord, which came out in 2018. Overlord is another Nazi zombie kind of thing. But it's on here for a couple of reasons. One, because it has historical significance. While we have no proof that Hitler made zombies, the story is very loosely based off of things that they found post World War II. And so it's very kind of adds to the fear a little bit, and the fact that there was all these experiments going on people and things that we can't even begin to imagine, let alone even process when you read or hear about it or watch it on like a documentary. So I think that's crazy. But I also really love the element of the fact that it's this experimental thing. It is very Resident Evil, but pre-Resident Evil, and I like that a lot. I think that concept of a zombie is really interesting, and it is kind of a god complex sort of thing too. But there's a lot of misunderstandings, and they don't know how it all works, and it's just this very interesting take on the government and people keeping things hidden and secret from us, which of course adds like a whole nother level to it.
It hurts.
What the fuck?
Ed.
Chase?
Oh my god.
My head hurts.
Chase.
Chase.
Chase,
Jesus Christ. Chase, Jesus Christ.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know.
Chase.
But I thought that the scenes with the zombies, or the things that we saw that were zombie related, were really good. It is a very war movie in the sense that, you know, it's a bit of a slow burn in the zombie sense, but once they get in there, it is like balls to the wall until it's over with. And it's really well done. And the acting and stuff is phenomenal. But I really like that medical experimentation side of things. I really like sci-fi in general, so it's kind of a no-brainer that I would like something like that. But these are very, the way that they are kind of portrayed in this is to be very strong. It's typical stuff in terms of like, if you shoot them in the foot, they're going to be fine because they're going to be like whatever, and you have to kill them by shooting them in the head. But it's this overall notion of like, this is based off of things that were actually found, papers that were actually read, diagrams, charts, information that was actually found, and then turned into this really badass like action zombie war movie, which is really good. I mean, I liked Dead Snow, which is similar to Nazi zombies, but I think that all of those movies are really good representations of just how versatile the zombie concept can be, and how it can be changed to fit into different types of films and even other subgenres that are just more than the chasing you and trying to eat your brain, and like that's the end of that difference. Like that's just the same as so many other films. I think that all of those different pieces helps not only make the movie better, but it makes things just stick a little bit better when you leave, because you start to think about it. I mean, we don't know what the government does. We don't know what people do, you know, behind closed doors that have access to these things. So it's just kind of an interesting little list of all the ways that zombies have kind of come through cinema over the last 20 years, 21 years. Ugh. So yeah, so that's my wrap up for Zombies in Cinema Part 2. I really like zombie movies a lot. They're really easy for me to get into. I did leave 28 Days off of here in 28 weeks because I have done 30-second reviews on both of those movies, and I feel like some of those concepts are similar to things that I've already talked about with the human elements and the, you know, the pretty quick zombies and that sort of thing. But yeah, so I hope you guys like this little 2-part thing about zombies and the way they changed throughout the years. There are a lot of zombie films, and they are used in a lot of different ways, and it's very interesting to see what people can come up with even now, you know, given that the concept of zombies been around for forever. So anyway, hope you guys had a great week and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And don't forget to check back in next Saturday so you can watch me and Tashin play Left 4 Dead 2. It's a fun one. I'll see you guys next time.